video, 9 foods with health benefits so powerful they will have a positive impact on your kidney health in just 30 days. Catherine here. I've been working with people suffering from kidney disease for more than 10 years now, and today I have no doubt about this. A well set up renal diet can make all the difference between keeping losing kidney function at each new test and improving it. I have witnessed many times how a renal diet can transform the lives of kidney disease patients, especially when combined with a few well-chosen supplements. And we have also seen that this kind of impressive results are also documented in medical literature. Patients in all the stages, 4 and 5 included, have been documented reversing the decline of their kidney function. This is why today I want to focus on the 9 foods that can really make a tangible difference in the shortest possible amount of time. Okay, before we start, a quick disclaimer. I always recommend consulting a nephrologist and a renal dietitian and have them set up the renal diet for you. This way, you will always make sure you are getting the right amount of calories, protein, carbohydrates, and so on every day. So also consult them if you are not eating one or more of the foods of today's video and you want to add them to your diet. Our first superfood is great because it's the source of a unique nutrient with rejuvenating properties. This is natto. Natto is a Japanese delicacy, a dish made from fermented soybeans. Everything about this oriental breakfast staple is healthy. Soybeans are one of the only plant-based sources of protein that is also of high biological value. Great for those patients that need to limit protein intake but still need some protein in their diet. And many people believe that natto actually is the reason why Japanese people live longer and have few chronic diseases. Natto is the only source of nattokinase, an enzyme that lowers blood pressure and dissolves blood clots. People with high blood pressure were able to lower their blood pressure by 3 to 5.5 millimeters of mercury just by supplementing this enzyme. And this is not all. Natto is also a probiotic food. So question, how often should you eat natto in order to make a difference? This food is not the easiest to find, but it's not impossible either. Many Japanese or Asian specialty markets carry it. Also, since this is a packaged food, you can buy it on Amazon. While I don't recommend eating it every day unless it is readily available where you live and, well, you really like it, I still recommend having a good source of probiotics on a daily basis. There are several great options available: kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut, kombucha, tempeh, and more. Or in alternative, you could take a probiotic supplement. Because you see, gut health can really make a serious difference in protecting your kidneys in all the stages. This is why you should also consider improving your fiber intake with foods such as barley. This ancient grain is amazing. It is low in GI and phosphorus, and it also boasts anti-inflammatory properties. Barley contains betaine, a nutrient that may help reduce inflammation. Barley also contains beta-glucans, a type of fiber linked to lowered cholesterol levels. Even more important, soluble fiber can bind to several toxins in the gut, especially uremic toxins. And it also feeds the good bacteria in your gut, making sure they will help you protecting your kidneys. But how often should you eat barley in order to get the benefits? You should eat whole grains and other foods high in soluble fiber on a daily basis, even if you have diabetes. According to several studies, higher dietary fiber intake is associated with both decreased inflammation and a slower progression of chronic kidney disease, even in people in the advanced stages. So focus on having as many fruits and veggies in your diet as possible if you care about your kidneys, and don't forget about whole grains. And guys, these foods are not just tasty, they can actually make a difference. So if you think this information is useful for you, consider sharing this video with anyone you know who may also benefit from a healthier diet. Up next, a food that protects your kidneys by reducing oxalate absorption. I'm talking about pumpkin seed. Pumpkin seeds are one of the most commonly consumed types of seeds in the world, and I believe you should consider them for your eating plan. The reason is a recent study. This study found out that just by eating pumpkin seeds more often, people with recurring kidney stones were able to decrease the risk for calcium oxalate formation. Amazing benefit! Yes, many people are told to avoid seeds because they are rich in oxalate, when you can actually eat them to reduce your risk for hyperoxaluria and kidney stones. And this is not all. Another study linked pumpkin seeds consumption to significant improvements in cholesterol and diastolic pressure. This is because pumpkin seeds are the richest food in the magnesium on heart. No other food has a whopping 150 milligrams of magnesium, or 36% of the daily value, for just 28 grams or 1 oz. Now, magnesium is key for kidney health, also because it is needed by the body to metabolize vitamin D. Make sure your diet is full of high magnesium foods such as dark leafy greens, nuts, seeds, and beans. You should have some of these foods every day. Speaking of nuts, there is one nut that has shown some incredible benefits in terms of improved kidney health. I'm talking about Brazil nuts. Brazil nuts are another great source of magnesium. But the reason why I always recommend consuming just one of these every day is a different mineral. Selenium. Selenium is a mineral that's been used to fight kidney disease in medical literature. You see, a deficiency in this mineral, which is pretty common, is considered a cause of kidney damage. Even better, correcting this deficiency has been observed to boost kidney health. In this placebo-controlled trial, those supplementing selenium as well as CoQ10 for 48 months had a huge improvement in kidney function. We're talking about a 14 points improvement in GFR here. So yeah, consider adding Brazil nuts to your diet. You could also supplement selenium, but by eating 1 to 2 Brazil nuts per day, you will get the same amount of selenium that people in this study got from supplements. But instead of adding more pills, you will be eating a super tasty snack, which is also rich in healthy fats, copper, zinc, and vitamin E. And speaking of foods that may decrease your need for pills, I cannot avoid mentioning the best way to need less antihypertensive medications. I'm talking about garlic. Hypertension is the second leading cause of kidney damage, and there are tons of studies telling us that garlic is extremely effective against hypertension. In particular, a recent meta-analysis of 12 trials and 553 hypertensive participants confirmed that garlic can lower systolic and diastolic pressure by an average of 8.3 over 5.5 millimeters of mercury. This is comparable to what you will get from standard antihypertensive medications. But while most antihypertensive medications have been linked to a long list of unwanted effects, including causing too high potassium levels and even kidney damage, garlic has a long list of benefits. It's an anti-inflammatory, it helps with diabetes, it can actually improve your insulin resistance while also increasing insulin production, and it also helps with cholesterol. It has immune boosting properties, it helps with gut health, it helps athletic performance, and more. A question for you guys. Do you already have these foods in your diet? Do you plan on adding them? Let's talk about it in comment section. And how often should you consume garlic to get the benefits? Garlic is so powerful when it comes to protecting the kidneys that many people use it like a supplement. They take it every day, even more than once per day. And my advice here, if you want to benefit from garlic, is to monitor your blood pressure and take enough garlic to reduce your dependence on antihypertensive medications. So what I will do here is starting with 2 medium cloves of garlic per day and then increase the quantity until the desired effect is reached. And also consider consuming the next superfood daily. Yes, up next there's a food that when paired with garlic will help you seriously reduce your need for medications. I'm talking about beets. Beets are, in my opinion, one of the healthiest veggies out there. Beets are very rich in folate or vitamin B9, which protects blood vessels and reduces the risk of heart disease, stroke, and it also protects the kidneys. Beets are also naturally high in nitrates, a very powerful vasodilator. This is the main reason why beets are so good against hypertension. Actually, in a study on kidney disease sufferers, those who drank juice made from beets had a very significant improvement in both diastolic and systolic pressure. Their blood pressure went down by 10/8 millimeters of mercury. Which means that, for example, you could have garlic with your breakfast and dinner and beets or beet juice for lunch. This would help keeping your blood pressure stable during the whole day. Imagine how much better your kidneys will be. Up next, another food that will help you with both blood pressure and also inflammation. Ginger. Ginger is amazing at reducing water retention. It's a potent diuretic that also naturally stimulates urine production. But this superfood has so many benefits that you will absolutely want to eat it every day. Ginger is one of the most powerful anti-inflammatory foods out there, and it improves circulation by acting as a vasodilator, which means it widens the blood vessels and lowers blood pressure. Ginger is also known as a heavy metal chelator, meaning that it binds to and removes heavy metals, especially cadmium, which is considered one of the worst dangers for kidney patients. Ginger doesn't need any special preparation. Just add it to your soups and rice dishes or enjoy it in a tea. And talking about foods with diuretic properties, up next, one of the most powerful detoxifying foods you can find, asparagus. This succulent savory vegetable definitely deserves to be consumed at least on a weekly basis, especially right now that it is in season. You see, asparagus contains a stimulating blend of nutrients that help boost energy, cleanse the urinary tract, and neutralize excess ammonia and other toxins. Because this food is also a natural diuretic, meaning that it will help the kidneys do their job of help rid the body of excess salt and fluid. And today we have also seen how important gut health is to protect the kidneys. So also keep in mind that asparagus is a great source of soluble fiber, which creates a special gel-like film in your gut to help absorbing sugar and carbs more slowly. Great also for people with diabetes. Okay, time now to see a superfood that some people would actually tell you to avoid. And yet this food fights one of the most serious causes of kidney damage: flaxseed. Despite containing phosphorus and oxalates, the effect this small seed has on kidney health is the opposite of what internet experts would lead you to believe. You see, flaxseed has actually been used in medical literature as a way to lower creatinine in people with kidney problems. Flaxseed is especially powerful for people with inflammatory kidney disease. There are studies showing that flaxseed can lower creatinine in people with inflammatory nephritis thanks to its impressive anti-inflammatory properties. So let's talk about flaxseed and diabetes. In an 8-week study in 57 people with type 2 diabetes, those who consume 1 ounce or 30 grams of flax seeds per day experienced significant reductions in HbA1c compared with those who didn't. So we are talking about a superfood that not only reduces inflammation in the kidneys, but that also fights diabetes, the #1 cause of kidney failure in the world. And I mean, when you look at this, it's ridiculous to think that some experts are still telling people to avoid this food. And guys, if you want to learn more about internet misinformation and how dangerous it may be for people with kidney issues, my video up here is for you. Catherine here. So many kidney disease sufferers are being told every day that once you reach a certain stage, there is no improving. There is no stopping CKD anymore. All you can do is wait for the big D machine. But that's not true. There is scientific evidence today that improvement in creatinine levels is possible in all the stages, 4 and 5 included. In this large study, researchers were able to prove that the most important predictor of kidney function slope is not the stage you may be in. No, it's the way CKD is managed. But then, why are so many clinicians convinced that improvements are not possible? The reason, in my opinion, are the 7 extremely dangerous and extremely common kidney damaging mistakes of today's video. Each one of these common mistakes can damage your kidneys. Doing them repeatedly can completely hinder any chance of improvement in GFR levels. So guys, today we are making sure you are not falling for any of these dangerous traps. And it's a top 7, so the higher in the ranking, the more dangerous. Let's start with a common eating mistake. Number 7, this is an eating mistake and it's not as dangerous as the other entries of today's video, but it may be a clear sign of a bigger problem. Number 7, avoiding nuts. When we think about bad eating habits, we immediately think about eating too much sugar or saturated fats, but there are other dangers we need to avoid. One of these is avoiding nuts. While it may seem that avoiding nuts is not that bad, most recent research seems to disagree. You see, science found a link between nut consumption and a reduction in many of the causes of kidney damage. This is why many experts believe that nuts are one of the healthiest sources of fat you can add to your eating plan. Nuts have been linked to a wide range of benefits. They protect your heart as they are rich in plant sterols and arginine. Nuts can also be used to control body weight and sugar level thanks to their healthy fats. Not to mention that you will get unique omega-3s and other anti-inflammatory compounds from some nuts. Now, certain nuts have even been exhibited creatinine lowering benefits. But you should be still careful with what nuts you choose and how much of them you eat. This is why I've made a... And since we are talking about the diet, the next mistake you want to avoid is way more dangerous than avoiding nuts, and it's also more common. Number 6, following a diet with a name on it. That is not your name. Fact, your diet has to be made specifically for you and not for anyone else. This is what current guideline for CKD advises. On the other hand, many people fall for some commercial diets advertised as panaceas that are actually bad for you. The keto diet, the carnivore diet, the paleo diet, the list goes on. Following any of these can be a huge danger for anyone with kidney issues. Never follow a diet without your name on it if you have kidney disease. Look, I'll be blunt on this. The diet people need to follow if they want to slow down CKD is not easy. There are a lot of limitations involved. Many people still need to avoid potassium. Even more need to avoid sugar and high glycemic foods. Then on top of that, there is protein restriction. Put all this together and even just planning a diet that adheres to all the restrictions is a task that maybe take hours of work for a dietitian. And clearly, for someone with kidney disease, having to follow this diet every day is not a walk in the park. But you need to do it because it can make a difference. It can delay ESRT by years, sometimes by decades compared to a random diet. On the other hand, some people get caught in the marketing and hyping of some of these popular fad diets and they think that the purported benefits may be good for them. But that never works and it can put a huge damper on your progresses. So if you are following a diet that was not made for you specifically, don't worry, it's not gonna I hope. But I absolutely recommend to consult a renal dietitian and to start a diet made for your necessities. This can really make a huge positive difference. Another huge risk that people with kidney disease are facing. Always make sure you are not falling prey of scams. Okay, this is a post I saw on the other day on Reddit. I will read what it says. User Shalenga wrote, I'm reaching out for help for my mom. She has stage 4 kidney disease. Her nephrologist said start RRT right away or she said no and decided to do alternative medicine with Karma Ayurveda. She is taking herbs and they want her to do $20,000 stem cell pill treatment. I think it's a scam. Help. Now, if this made you want to cry, I'm with you. Yes, it's disheartening. There are people out there actively targeting kidney disease sufferers with this kind of scams, and they don't care if you young, they just want $20,000 from you. Now, unfortunately, this poor mom with stage 4 kidney disease has a son that's trying to help her. He is getting informed on Reddit and people are telling him how to convince his mom not to trust the scammers. Not to let her risk her life with stem cell pills. I mean, stem cell pills? That's crazy! That will never work. Pills are not how stem cells work. And most important, today there is not a single study conducted on the use of stem cells in actual kidney disease patients. And it's clearly not the patient's fault for trusting the scammers here. Because we all know how much a single beacon of hope can be everything. But not when that's a false hope. This is why I always tell you to get informed, to talk to your doctor, and to make informed decision. Never listen to one side of the argument only, and don't fall prey of this kind of scam. Up next, something I would call a job-related danger. This is something many of us have to do every day and that can cause way more kidney damage than most people realize. Number 4, sitting for too long. Here is a job-related danger that affects many of us, including me. You're not alone if you find yourself sitting for most of the day while working. Unfortunately, prolonged sitting can have many negative effects on your health and well-being. Some experts are even calling sitting the new smoking. Let's see what happens to the kidneys when you spend too much time sitting. Sitting for too long can reduce nutrients flow in the body and it can even worsen a leg swelling problem. Sitting is also linked to weaker muscles and back aches and even weight gain and heart disease. And not many people know this, but those who spend more time sitting also have a 112% increased risk of diabetes, the #1 cause of kidney disease. A 112% increase is huge, frankly, and quite scary. Really makes you want to move more. Now, I understand that those that sit for most of their time don't do it because they want to, but because their occupation forces them to. There are ways to decrease the risk. How can you prevent this? Do frequent breaks to take walks. A 5-minute walking break every 30 minutes will be ideal, but it's not always possible. But the closer you can get to that, the better. And consider a standing desk if you can, and avoid also sitting for too long periods when relaxing as well. Regular physical activity has many benefits, one being the ability to offset, at least in part, the effects of sitting. And yes, sitting is more dangerous than people realize, which is especially bad because we all do this. Now, there is something even worse. This is a vitamin-related danger, and it's tricky because it's something that people could risk right when they think they are making the right choice. Number 3 is taking vitamin D wrong. In the beginning of the video, I've mentioned a large study in which people with kidney disease in the advanced stages were observed actually improving their GFR. The aim of this study was to outline some of the things that made the biggest difference between those who were able to improve their GFR and those who weren't. And guess what? One of the things that made the difference was vitamin D status. While many vitamins are important for you, vitamin D seems to be the most crucial. So many CKD sufferers are deficient in this vitamin, about 8 out of 10, which is a concerning number, and this deficiency is actually linked to proteinuria, which can make CKD progress faster. You really want to make sure your vitamin D levels are not low. What not many people know is that just supplementing vitamin D may cause more harm than good. People taking too much vitamin D alone may be at risk for hypercalcemia, a condition in which too much calcium builds up in the arteries, potentially forming deposits in the arteries' walls. This increases the risk for heart complications and kidney damage. To avoid this, there are 2 other crucial nutrients you need to make vitamin D work. First of all, when supplementing vitamin D, you also need magnesium. Studies found out that the body depends on magnesium to convert vitamin D into its active form. So if your magnesium is low, a very common issue for those with CKD, your vitamin D is going to be low too, no matter how much you supplement. And also, vitamin K2. Now, the main role of vitamin D in the body is to make calcium, the building block of your bones. However, vitamin D only makes calcium. It doesn't really tell the body where to put it. Another vitamin does that, vitamin K2. So always take these three together. Number 2 now, an extremely dangerous complication of CKD that a lot of people and even some primary care providers fail to address properly. Number 2 is not keeping body acidity under control. Fact: if you have kidney problems, you must keep track of your body acidity and take action if your levels are out of the right range. But unfortunately, not everyone is doing this, and this is bad. Metabolic acidosis, which happens when the body is too acidic, is a dangerous and unfortunately common complication of kidney disease and diabetes. If left untreated, it can lead to bone loss, muscle loss, endocrine disorders, inflammation, and it also damages the kidneys. Metabolic acidosis is a very important cause of kidney damage. Managing body acidity, a job the kidneys are tasked to do, is a central point in the management of CKD. The eating plan is the very first step. Avoiding metabolic acidosis is why most people are told to follow a plant-based diet rich in fruit and veggies. A plant-based diet works because it's way less acid-forming than a regular Western diet. But you see, not enough kidney disease sufferers are tested for this condition, and not enough are receiving the appropriate care. Statistics say that approximately 40% of those with stage 4 CKD have it, which is frankly scary because this means there is no chance of improving for them. Make sure this doesn't describe you. Make sure your CO2 test result is in the right range. Now guys, most people are usually given sodium bicarbonate to manage body acidity caused by kidney disease. There is, however, a new promising way of doing this that could make bicarbonate obsolete. I will talk about it next Sunday, so make sure to subscribe and set the notification bell to all if you want to know more. Number 1, even more dangerous than metabolic acidosis. This can be literally life-threatening and most people don't realize they could be at risk for it. Number 1 is not being knowledgeable about what's in your bathroom cabinet. Okay, this is probably the biggest danger every single kidney disease sufferer faces every day. I'll tell you a story about why this is so dangerous. In 2014, a 79-year-old lady with a history of hypertension and arthritis, but otherwise healthy, suddenly found herself in the ER due to a UTI. After a close look by the resident, she was sent home with a list of medicines for her problem. She was given a strong antibiotic and some NSAIDs for the discomfort. However, the resident made a mistake. He forgot to check if the medicines he just gave the old lady were safe together with what she was already taking for her hypertension. About a week later, the 79-year-old lady took a turn for the worse. Okay, I've kept the worst for last. Fact: many people get several different medicines from several different specialists. And one of the worst dangers you face when taking anything is the risk for interactions. Certain medicines are reasonably safe when taken alone, but they may be extremely dangerous when taken together. Let's make sure you are not doing the mistake of not double-checking that everything you take is safe and free from interactions. And if you think every doctor is already checking this for all of their patients, maybe watch my video up here so you will know how it ended up for the 79-year-old lady who went to the ER for a UTI. In this video, the worst of the worst, the bad habits that have actually people in medical literature. Okay guys, today's video is going to be an interesting one. When it comes to kidney health, bad habits are everything. What you do constantly, day after day, really makes a difference on your health. And that's why I always focus on good habits here. Reminding people to do the right thing is my way of trying to help. And it's also important to know what bad habits we should identify and stop. But while some bad habits can cause harm over time, there are also bad habits that can actually you in a few months, sometimes weeks. Even worse, some of these bad habits look way less dangerous than they actually are. This is what we are going to see today. We will see not just one, but 3 different stories from the ER today. And we are going to learn about 3 people that didn't know they were risking everything until it was too late. Our goal is to learn from their mistakes so we don't repeat them. Let's start with our first case study. Like all the case studies I present you here, this is based on events that really happen and that are documented in literature. In 2017, a 30-year-old man was brought to the emergency department. We will call him NT. NT had severe nausea and hadn't been able to keep anything down at all for 5 days. But his chief complaint was more serious. NT also told the staff that he was worried about the salad he had eaten 1 week prior. NT had heard recently on the news about the danger of a foodborne pathogen, and it was from a kind of lettuce similar to what he had in his salad. But he ignored the warning. I mean, many people would have done the same. It's a fact that there are so many frightening headlines on the news today that people are starting to lose their trust in medias. But sometimes the medias are right and the danger is real. And this is what happened to NT. After being admitted to the ER, the staff asked NT for a sample of urine. NT was very pale and was clutching his stomach in pain when he told the staff he couldn't remember the last time he urinated. A test confirmed the worst was happening. Many of the wastes that are supposed to be filtered by his kidneys were floating around in his body at levels several times higher than normal. His creatinine was 8.4 milligrams per DL, meaning that he was rapidly approaching renal failure. But how can a simple salad have caused him all this? We have to go back 1 week and learn more about his salad. In 2017, the IDSA investigated the surge of cases of hospitalization due to a serious pathogen, E. coli, in romaine lettuce. And it actually made the headlines, but many people were still going to ignore it. In fact, despite knowing about the danger, NT decided to make himself a Caesar salad with lettuce. But he didn't like to cook too often, so instead of eating the whole salad in one sitting, he left some of the counter for dinner. And then there were leftovers the day after that he decided to finish, even if it wasn't looking too appetizing. Letting contaminated food sitting for too long can undoubtedly pave the way for catastrophe, as poor NT was going to learn soon. But how can a foodborne illness damage the kidneys of a previously healthy man so badly? Well, the answer is something called shigatoxin. Shigatoxin is a type of protein exotoxin produced by certain strains of bacteria, including some types of E. coli, such as E. coli 0157H7. Let's imagine these harmful substances as a tool E. coli uses against certain cells of the body. The toxin attaches to the outside of a cell and then it manages to get inside. Once it's inside, it causes a big mess. In this case, it stops the cell from making new proteins, which are crucial for the cell's survival. Without new proteins, the cell can't function properly and eventually dies. Now, this may happen in various parts of the body, but it really causes trouble in the kidneys. The kidneys have many receptors this substance can bind to. Inside the kidneys, the toxin causes inflammation, which is like internal swelling and death of the cells. This all results in the kidneys not being able to do their job, a condition called hemolytic uremic syndrome, HUS. This is characterized by kidney failure, hemolytic anemia, and thrombocytopenia, low platelet count. E. coli 0157H7 is what the staff eventually found in Auntie's body. And they knew this can be life-threatening. We will see how it ended for poor Auntie in a moment. Before that, a very important question. What can you do to make sure your food is safe? We all know that people with kidney issues are more at risk for the dangers linked to foodborne illnesses. There are a few steps you can take to significantly reduce your risk. Let's see them. Wash your hands. Always wash your hands before handling food. And also, clean surfaces and utensils. Ensure your kitchen surfaces and utensils are clean before you start cooking. And this also helps with avoiding cross-contamination. Always keep raw meat, poultry, seafood, and their juices away from ready-to-eat foods. Speaking of meat and poultry, if you eat them, cook them thoroughly. And also, wash fruits and vegetables thoroughly. Rinse all fruits and vegetables under running water before eating, cutting, or cooking them. You can also use a baking soda bath. And obviously, refrigerate promptly. Never leave perishable foods out of the refrigerator for more than 1 or 2 hours. Also, stay informed about food recalls. Pay attention to news about food recalls and foodborne illnesses. Don't ignore them like Auntie did. How did it end for Auntie? Guys, if you like this video so far, consider sharing it with anyone you know you think may be interested. Also, leave a like if you want. After being admitted to the ER, Auntie's kidneys were found to be severely impaired. The staff was able to find out the cause: E. coli. What can you do for E. coli? They could have given him antibiotics, but they didn't. Many antibiotics can be nephrotoxic when there is an acute kidney injury going on. And in this case, it looked like the benefit did not outweigh the risk. So they gave him fluids and kept watching him closely. It was a good call. As the days pass, Auntie finally makes urine again. At discharge, his kidneys appeared to function almost as they did before, which is a very good outcome in a situation like this. Our protagonist, Auntie, was lucky, but foodborne illnesses are not something we should take risks with. Like the next medical mystery for today. And while the takeaway from our first story is a simple one, don't be sloppy with your food. Our next protagonist is going to do a mistake that's not as easy to avoid because she took her health seriously and tried to improve it. But she forgot one thing. In 2018, a healthy 24-year-old, 18 weeks postpartum woman, we called her OL, presented to the emergency department with severe nausea. She was unable to keep any food down. While in the emergency department, she developed abdominal pain, low back cramps, and a general feeling of discomfort. She also had a very high heart rate at 103 beats per minute. She looked like she was out of breath, even while just sitting. Now guys, the way OL presented at the ER is peculiar enough for a case study to be written about her. It's not common at all that someone that was previously in perfectly good conditions is now hospitalized with tachypnea, rapid breathing. This is a sign that something very bad is happening in her body. Let's see if the staff will able to catch it in time. Tests are done and few things catch our interest here. OL low levels of serum bicarbonate, a substance that helps keep the body's pH levels balanced. This is a sign of metabolic acidosis, a dangerous condition. She also had high levels of beta-hydroxybutyric acid, a substance that the body produces when it's burning fat for energy. Another sign that her body was burning fat for energy is the high levels of ketones she had. Third thing here is the protein in urine. Whatever is happening is damaging her kidneys. But why? What can cause metabolic acidosis and kidney damage in a previously healthy woman? OL is now being questioned about her eating habits by the staff. She tells them proudly that she was able to lose 25 pounds after the birth of her child in just 18 weeks. How? They ask. Well, by eating a lot of vegetables, cheese, chicken, salmon, and other white fish, she says. And also by strictly avoiding grains like wheat, pasta, and bread. This is a fad diet that was very popular back in 2018. Yes, you probably already got this. She was following the keto diet. A very dangerous fad diet, especially for a new mom. How can a fad diet cause these issues in a previously healthy woman? There is one thing here that was especially worrisome. The fast, deep breathing in someone who is not doing any kind of physical activity. This is caused by the extremely acidity OL had in her body. And one of the ways the human body can compensate for that is by breathing faster. This is a condition called non-diabetic ketoacidosis, which in this case was completely caused by the keto diet. Okay, but how did this happen? Now, the ketogenic diet alone is not going to cause ketoacidosis in most of the cases, but there are a few categories of people that are more at risk for this dangerous condition. Diabetics are always recommended to avoid the keto diet exactly due to this issue, but also nursing moms, just like OL. You see, there have been several reports of ketoacidosis occurring in nursing women on keto diets. When a woman is nursing, her body uses extra energy to produce milk. This means she needs more fuel, so her body might burn more fat, producing more ketones. If she's not eating enough carbs and her body is already in a state of burning fats from the keto diet, this can push her into ketoacidosis. It's not common, but it can happen, and it warns us about the risks of following a fad diet. How it ended for OL? She was given IV fluids and insulin, and also glucose to help her body switch back to using glucose for energy instead of fat. She was also put back on a diet that included carbohydrates. She was allowed to continue nursing her baby, and her condition improved quickly once she started eating carbohydrates again. She was discharged after 4 days, and her follow-up tests showed normal levels of all substances. So she had a happy ending at last. And the keto diet is bad, but it's not the only fad diet that can put your life in danger. This is especially true for someone with previously documented health problems such as diabetes or kidney disease. Never start a diet you hear about on the internet without consulting a registered dietitian. This story tells us how bad it can be to make changes to our way of eating without being informed. So don't make this mistake and make sure your eating plan is a safe one. And even though OL made a risky mistake, believe it or not, things could get even messier. This is what our last story for today is all about. Okay, I've kept the most disturbing for last. This is one of the worst bad habits someone could develop. Fact, many people get several different medicines from several different specialists. And one of the worst dangers you face when taking anything is the risk for interactions. Certain medicines are reasonably safe when taken alone, but they may be extremely dangerous when taken together. Let's make sure you are not doing the mistake of not double-checking that everything you take is safe and free from interactions. And I know that there are professional figures whose entire job revolves around checking this for you. But do they always do that efficiently enough? In 2014, a 79-year-old lady with a history of hypertension and arthritis, but otherwise healthy, suddenly found herself in the ER due to intense stomach discomfort. We will call her EP. After a close look by the resident, she was sent home with a list of medicines for her problem, which was a simple UTI, easy to treat in someone without any kidney issue. She was given a strong antibiotic and some NSAIDs for the discomfort. Her kidney numbers were all in the normal range, so the resident wasn't really worried. However, he made a tragic mistake. He didn't check the newly prescribed medicines for possible interactions. About a week later, EP's health took a turn for the worse. She lost her appetite, felt weak, and her face started swelling up. She was quickly taken back to the ER. It was discovered that she was suffering from heart failure and she had fluid buildup in her chest. Her kidney numbers had shot up, indicating severe kidney damage. Despite the best efforts of the hospital staff, her health didn't improve. Sadly, she passed away just 13 days later. Her story is a chilling reminder of how quickly things can go wrong when taking multiple medications without appropriate research. So, what was EP taking that shouldn't have been mixed together with the newly prescribed NSAID? Well, if the resident took the time to check EP history properly, they would have quickly found out that she was taking furosemide and ramipril. Mixing up these three things is a huge error. This is something known today as triple whammy. Each of these three individually can affect the function of the kidneys. When used together, they may lead to a significant decrease in kidney function and acute kidney injury. And like what happened to EP, this risk may be even higher in the elderly or in those with existing kidney problems. And while one may think that things changed from 2014, more than 1,000 cases of triple whammy are documented every year, and many of the people affected don't make it. So be careful out there and make sure you are well aware of possible unwanted effects and interaction every single time a new entry is present in your regime. Yes, there are professional figures supposed to do that, but they also make mistakes, so stay safe and get informed. And if you want to learn more about the dangers related to some of the most common medicines, watch my video up here, and this is all for today. Thank you for watching. God bless you all.